Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best items available, including some of my own personal recommendations. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the CIVIVI Knives Rustic Gent in Damascus. There are a few different variants of this, the different blade options being Damascus and then, of course, D2 steel. This knife was sent to me by Mr. Lavender Pants 86 on Instagram. Thank you so much, Lavender Pants. It's because of people like him that I'm able to bring you guys daily knife content, so give him a follow if you can. It's also because of people like my generous patrons, so thank you so much for supporting me during this time. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, there is a link down in the description where you can get your hands on those stickers and some other cool stuff, so check that out if you'd like to support me. Thank you so much. I've got the pouch out here to remember to talk about it. I always forget about little things like that. This is a really, really cool knife. It's not a slip joint. It's actually a lockback. There's a few, like I said, there's a few different versions. I will link as many different types of this knife or different variants of this knife as I can down in the description. To my knowledge, you have, in this case, we have micarta and carbon fiber. There is a G10 variant in combination with carbon fiber, and then there's also the satin finished D2. But like I said, there's a lot of different versions and various, well, there's two different prices that can be on these guys, but I'll link them down there so you guys can take a look. Let's go ahead and get a measurement on this guy. We'll leave the pouch right here out of sight so you guys, or so that I don't forget about it. Overall length of this guy coming in at 6.75 inches overall. Blade length coming in at right at 3 inches on the dot. I really wish they'd be just slightly under to make this legal in some places, but okay, it is what it is. Cutting edge is also going to be almost right exactly 3 inches. So interesting. Overall, or size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Para 3 is coming in at 7.25 inches overall. How's the action on this guy? Well, it's very smooth, but this is a lockback, so it is not a, I mean, technically, yeah, you can operate this with one hand. You do run the risk of, when you do that, you have to keep pressure. You see, I'm actually pinch opening it there, but just right there, it wants to suck itself back down into the handle. So if you're going to do that, you run the risk of getting your fingers in the way. This guy has already bit me once, not because any fault of the knife, but because I was being negligent. You do have to pinch open it and then hold your thumb in that spot, because if you come down here, you're going to catch yourself on that super slicey blade. We'll talk about that too. Keep pressure on it and open it this way. Now, you probably could close it with one hand too, but this is not a knife because it's got a mid-stop. Just because of the amount of pressure, I almost got myself there too with that tip. The amount of spring between the mid-stops and, you know, how much pressure is released off of it. There's no mid-stop when you've released it, right? So if you're going to try and shake close it like you do a triad lock, just trust me, use two hands. That's how knives that are built in more of the traditional fashion are meant to be used. This is a two-handed knife. It's not a knife that you really should be messing around with flipping open. And truthfully, I kind of enjoy that charm with knives like this, slip joints and lockback folders that are meant to be open with two hands. It's you know, it's one extra step, and it really doesn't bother me, especially if the knife was designed like that. So I can appreciate that. But keep in mind, if you are somebody who likes to open your hand with, or open your knives with, hopefully you don't like to open your hand with your knives. Open your knife with one hand. There is no fidget factor here. It's two-handed open, two-handed close for the most part. But it is very smooth, and it's running on phosphor bronze. It also centers up perfectly, as you can see right, keep my finger off of it, right there, centered up perfectly. And we have absolutely solid lockout, which is fantastic. That's great. Really like that. Let's go ahead and do the hardware check. Get out my handy-dandy WIA magnetic driver and WIA bit selector, two items that are extremely inexpensive that I can recommend to everybody. You just pull open the Amazon store that I referenced at the beginning of every video and scroll down until you see knife maintenance. Much like other CIVIVIs, I'm going to guess that this is T8 hardware all the way around, but we're going to find out together. T8, even this little teeny tiny guy. Other makers take note. T8 across the board. CIVIVI's doing it. Even on a little tiny knife like this, T8 hardware can still look really good, because I bet that looks like T6, but no, it has the utilitarian benefit of T8. What do I mean by that? It's easier to disassemble. You're not going to strip out your tools or your head. Somebody commented the other day, you won't strip out your tools if they're quality bit drivers. These are WIAs. I have definitely stripped out T6 WIAs. Maybe it is out of negligence, but the truth is that it's just easier, right? You can't control the amount of Loctite, whether or not Loctite's put on, the size of the head, the type of the head, the depth of the head, right? There's too many variables. T8 alleviates a lot of that. Yes, you know, if you're really, really careful, you'll be just fine with T6, but T8's better. And in this case, it looks better. I mean, it looks nice too, right? People who make the argument that a smaller head looks nice, this is T8, looks just fine. Carry profile. This is not a big knife. It's not a cumbersome knife in any way. It's also not an aggressive knife, so it fits a wide range of different carry circumstances. So profile in terms of height and length, yeah. I mean, two knives that are, you know, very popular and have awkward carry profiles, the PM2 and Para 3, right? It's definitely not as long as either of them, and it's not as tall. It's also, I don't believe, as thick. Yeah, it's slightly thinner than the Para 3, so no issue there. We are looking at a super duper thin blade stock. Let me get everything in the right hands, zero this out. Come on now. There we go. Blade stock coming in at 95 thousandths. So yeah, ridiculously thin. And then overall weight, again, we're looking at micarta, carbon fiber, very thin blade stock, and it does have a steel liner and steel backlock here. So yeah, 2.54 ounces, which is over the ounce and inch mark that a lot of people go by. In any case, it is super not cumbersome. It's cumbersome. However, since it's got this, I mean, these knives, in my opinion, are great for the back rear pocket. Some people carry them alone in their front right or front left pocket, or back rear pocket, I guess. It doesn't have a pocket clip on the knife, so they often tip over. Now, CIVIVI's gone ahead and offered it with a pouch, which is fantastic. It is an extra thing you have to carry, and you have to consider how much room the entire pouch is taking up in your pocket, but it does have a pocket clip. And let me tell you, that just works really well. It's got the CIVIVI style clip on it, which is fine. I don't like the build, but it's okay. But man, having the option to carry it in a little pouch is great. And I mean, the pouch takes up a little bit of extra room, and the thing, you know, weighs a little bit more, including the pouch. You're looking at 3.32 ounces. So, you know, you're looking at a little over an ounce and inch in terms of utility, but the sleeve is going to stay in your pocket, and you can put other things in your pocket, even though this takes up a little bit more room, or a decent amount of room. Nothing will be bumping into the knife or catching on the knife for the most part. So that's fine. I kind of like that. But you have the option. That's the main thing. You have the option with a knife like this, which is really cool. The sleeve is made of good quality. The sleeve is good quality. You know, I'm sure there are better sleeves out there. This isn't a sleeve that I would complain about, considering it comes with the knife, and also considering the price of the knife, what you're getting, whichever version you get. Yeah, I'm happy with that. You know, I mean, it could have been nowhere near as nice as this, and I'd be like, oh, nice little bonus there, you know? And the pocket clip's nicely fixed in there. It's also really easy to grab because of this area right here. You do have to kind of slip your finger in just a little bit behind there, but depending on how you want to carry it, if you want to carry it like that, then it's real easy. It's easy to get in and out of the pocket, considering the style that it is. Not quite as easy as a regular folding knife, but, you know, it's there. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the anatomy here. So in this case, we have a carbon fiber bolster, and we have this micarta here. It's finished pretty well. I mean, around the outside especially, it's really nice. You can see here we've got a few imperfections in the gap. It could be because this looks like burlap micarta. It could be because of the style of micarta that we're having these imperfections that seem to be favoring the micarta side. But in terms of the actual, like the overall scale fitment, it looks good. I'm not seeing any imperfections anywhere else. I'm not going to jump on that too hard considering the price range. If it was a lot more expensive, I might jump on that. But I'm guessing, just from seeing what CIVIVI does with carbon fiber and G10, again, that's why I'm thinking it might just be this micarta that we're seeing it on. Then, of course, we have this Damascus. Now, people always ask me, you know, I see Damascus for like 20 bucks on eBay, and then I see knives on your channel where it's like $1,000. There's a lot of different types of Damascus, and I am not an expert. You know, the amount of layers, the heat treat, you know, the steel that it's made up of, that's a lot of the factors. And then Damasteel is two powder form steels that make a different type of Damascus called Damasteel. On top of that, there's your more laminate styles and your Damacore and your there's a bunch of different styles. You know, the more that goes into it, the more performance oriented and or the more art that goes into it, the price is going to increase. So no, this is not oftentimes the same type of Damascus you're seeing on those little junk knives on eBay for 25 bucks. Not the same at all. This is stainless Damascus. It looks great. It does not perform, though it does look like Damasteel a little bit, or this Damasteel that I've handled, it does not perform nearly as well. It does, however, perform okay. This is, from everything that I've read, it performs similarly to 440C, which is pretty acceptable. I mean, if I got 440C on a $100 knife, I'd be like, no. But the thing here is that you get to enjoy how this looks. And what's different about, you know, this Damascus versus the Damascus that you often see in this price range is that it's stainless. A lot of lower end Damascus is not stainless. So that the fact that you can get performance as good as 440C, which is, you know, that used to be top dog a while back. That used to be our M390. So it's an ingot form steel, right? I mean, and then you've got the layers here with the Damascus, but it looks nice, it performs okay, and you're not breaking the bank to get a hold of this guy. So yeah, I'm on board with that. I like what CIVIVI's doing with their stainless Damascus. I think that's perfectly acceptable. On top of that, the blade looks amazing. We've got this nice, if we call that a fuller or a nail nick or whatever, you know, the traditional guys will jump on me and tell me what it's actually called, but it looks nice, right? You've got this, I guess we'll call it a swedge in the actual clip point. The clip point is amazing. Comes out to a needle tip. Absolutely. Now, I'm surprised my camera will focus on it there. But talk about a splinter getter, man, which is great. I mean, considering what this knife is, this is not a hard use knife. You know, I'm not concerned with the durability of the tip. This is a knife that I keep in my back pocket or perhaps in the console of my truck or wherever. You know, it's something simple that you do a simple cutting task with. It's not nowhere. It's a light to medium duty lockback knife, you know, so I kind of appreciate the fact that we've got a super fine tip. On top of that, does it get thin behind the edge? Oh my goodness, yes it does. It gets very, very thin behind the edge. This is going to be an awesome little package opener, fantastic. You're going to get a few things caught in the fuller there, not that big of a deal. The blade itself looks wonderful. Yeah, I've got some fingerprints on it here, but this reflective stainless Damascus looks wonderful. The etchings look wonderful. Everything all the way around. Even the corners up here, everything's been knocked down. There's no sharp edges. It's just great. Final edge was done in true CIVIVI fashion. Just perfect. Awesome, awesome. The fact that you can actually use this and get some decent performance out of it is great, right? Carbon fiber looks great too. We've got some slight contouring here. This very much reminds me in overall shape. It reminds me of the Benchmade Proper, except that the Benchmade Proper is a slip joint. I also really like that there's the little mid-stop here. I really like this. There's a nice snap, and it really gets in. I mean, and as well as the lockout, right here, from here to here. This feeling of that is solid. I like that. The clickiness, I've talked about this before, doesn't necessarily add that much of a utilitarian benefit, right? Other than the assumed solidity of the lockup, right? But it's actually a sound that makes me feel, oh, that's quality. But no, I'm judging the quality of the lockup based on the fact that there's no blade play and that it's centered, right? Which tells me that the tolerances are on point. So that's great. It's all great. I like the sort of cloudy finish on the liners here. And they're not shadow boxed, which I think in this design actually looks a little bit better. I like the burlap micarta. I probably would have gone for the G10. Perhaps they have some other options. I don't know. This certainly does look nice, though. The lockback looks nice. The gaps here, I mean, look normal in terms of a lockback. We don't have the sort of tilted area right here in the gap. The release on it is good. It doesn't feel clunky or gritty. Feels nice and solid. And then the connection right here from the lockback to the spine looks good. It's raised a little bit higher than the actual spine of the blade, but I don't know that that's really a problem. Connection is good and connection is solid, so that's great. Disengagement is easy enough, but solid enough that, you know, I feel like it's very secure in hand. I mean, during normal use of this guy, you're not really running the risk of accidentally disengaging it, so that's great. Ergonomics are okay. I mean, you know, in this case, we have a traditional look, an aesthetic about this knife that is achieved, you know, by keeping the lines really, really simple. There's not really a lock-in position on this knife other than just this back area here, keeping your hand from sliding down from the blade. It might be a tad slippery, and you do run the risk of running your finger up on the blade, so just be careful. But the aesthetic that they achieved looks nice. I appreciate this for what it is. I can't really judge it against, you know, a knife that's a more modern tactical knife, because those have different aesthetic lines that are, you know, meant for absolutely locked in ergonomics and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's gonna be more difficult to hang on to than another knife. But you know, what type of circumstances are you putting yourself in with this knife, right? You're gonna be opening packages, doing simple things where you're not really gonna need to bear down on this in the middle of a, you know, a rainstorm, right? You're not, this probably isn't going to be something that you're trying to unclog a dam with in the middle of a thunderstorm while you're, you know, standing in moving water and mud and stuff, right? Maybe it is, in which case that's unfortunate. But anyways, yeah, looks nice on the inside. We've got no milling, not that it really needs it. The other thing that I really like is that we're using the little phosphor bronze washers on the inside, which is great. Now, I believe, yeah, if I can get in there and look, gosh darn it, that infernal flashlight, it's black. The other one that I use is black, and I just can't see it sometimes. But if we can get in there and just take a look here real quick, yeah, that's what you're looking at on the inside with washers, so that's nice. You can also see actually the stop pin, the closed position stop pin is on the inside. So not that that's good or bad, that's just where it's located. Ease of disassembly on this guy is great. These are going to be super easy to take apart. There are going to be some screws underneath, and I'll admit that I did watch a video, and underneath those screws are T6. Now, I can't see much of a reason to take apart a lockback with phosphor bronze, right? But if you need to, you're going to be dealing with T6. If you need to make an adjustment on the pivot, or for whatever real reason just take off the front scales, yeah, it's T8, so you're good. So there's not really much else to say about this guy. I mean, the nice thing is it's purely or truly ambidextrous. Even the sleeve, right? You can mount the sleeve in either pocket. It's right in the middle. It doesn't mean there's no difference there. And the knife is, you know, made for both left and right-handed people. So that's fantastic. This is the type of knife that I like to carry in combination with my main knife. Why? I don't know. I just do. In some situations, it's nice to have a more easily acceptable, you know, smaller, more gentlemanly style folder, depending on who you're around. And I know everybody should just accept and just not be, yeah, but that's not how the world works. Sometimes people are a little bit more afraid, right? If I'm carrying the SOCOM Elite, right, at a funeral, somebody needs a bag of pretzels opened or something, might be a little bit more appropriate to get this guy out, because this guy is small, it is traditional, it looks dressy, especially the combination of the burlap micarta, or what I'm assuming is burlap micarta, and the stainless Damascus, right? It's a traditional looking knife. It's a little bit less scary, so I like to have a backup knife on me. If you want to just EDC this knife, it's big enough and capable enough to take care of your normal tasks, right? So I like that. The thing that I like the most about this knife is what you're getting for the money. The standard version of this knife runs 75 bucks, and it's utilizing D2. That's okay. It's okay. I would have liked to see it at about 50. CIVIVI's got knives with a lot more moving parts and a lot more machine work went into, and for, you know, curiously cost 25 bucks less. You know, maybe there's an argument to be made for the machine work that goes into the locking system in this guy, but it just seems a tad high. It's okay. But I think the price of 100 bucks for this version right here is completely fair. Now, I put a lot more value into the fact that I'm getting a blade steel that looks just a lot cooler than just a standard sort of cloudy finished D2 blade. Yeah, you're not getting as much utility out of it because 440C, by a lot of people's arguments, doesn't perform as well as D2, at least on paper. You know, one way or another. Would it be better if the blade was M390 and it cost 100 bucks? Well, sure. I mean, there's a million reasons to say it'd be better if this and that, whatever. I like the fact that I can get a Damascus blade that I can actually use and resharpen that looks nice. Yeah, those etchings will go away over time a little bit, or they'll fade. I can give you an example of that actually in my, my wedding ring. A lot of you guys don't know this. My wife had this custom made for me. One of the inner bands on my wedding ring is actually stainless Damascus. It's a nickel Damascus, and you can see the etchings have kind of gone away. You can still see the lines there, right? But the etchings sort of lose that matte finish over time. It all just becomes kind of the same with just the lines. Eventually, that'll be the case with this guy. You know, different types of Damascus wear differently over time. But the fact is that it's still a stainless combination, and you can resharpen it and keep using it. 440C again is a utilitarian composition, and it was top dog back in, I think, like the late 70s and early 80s, before some newer steels kind of started to hit the scene. I don't know. Overall history of metallurgy and knife steels, I don't know. But for $100, getting a knife that looks like this, that's functional and small and lightweight and compact, and it just brings me joy when I use it. Yeah, you know, I think I can recommend this knife. So again, I'll leave links down there for you guys who want to check this out. Thanks again, Lavender Pants, for letting me take a look. I think that's pretty much all I can say about this, guys. Super cool. I'm glad to see CIVIVI doing some traditional stuff, so that's neat. Anyways, guys, that's going to be pretty much it for today's review. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this metal complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.